Those who have been in the luxury world long enough know MCM as one of the world's top luxury houses based on distinct codes around lifestyle logo accessories and select ready-to-wear. When MCM was born in 1976 in Munich, rock stars and the glitterati were the first to embrace the label. MCM's trunks, suitcases, and leather goods found a loyal audience in trendy, affluent travelers and those who wanted to look like them. Their suitcases and bags, often decorated with the iconic Cognac Visetos monogram, became a symbol of luxury and status. At the peak of its popularity between the 80s and 90s, MCM ultimately became a fixture in emerging hip-hop subcultures. It faced financial struggles and was eventually acquired by South Korean entrepreneur Sungju Kim. Under new ownership, the brand was gradually resurrected, expanding its product line and global footprint in key markets. Today, MCM has over 650 stores worldwide in over 40 countries. The label is in growth mode and embarking on the next chapter with new leadership and global design development. Leading the charge of MCM's next chapter is my guest on the Luxury Item Podcast, Sabine Brunner, president of MCM Worldwide. Before joining MCM in 2022, Sabine held high-profile positions including brand manager of Roger Vivier, CEO at Bonpoint, and managing director at Tod's in Hong Kong. Welcome to the Luxury Item, Sabine.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining me. Well, it certainly has been a busy year for you. It seems like MCM is entering a new era, a renaissance, if you will. And part of this realignment has been a new brand identity and creative direction. You joined MCM Worldwide as president in late 2022 to help usher in a new era of ultra-modern creativity for the brand. So what excited you about taking the helm of MCM, and what was the state of the brand when you joined?
Oh, when I got the first conversation with Mrs. Kim, who owns the brand for probably more than 25 years, I think now, I was, very, first of all, excited to go back in the luxury accessory world, where I've been, spending my best years, I would say, in my career. And when I started looking into really what the brand was about, because, it was not in my radar living in Milan, but I did remember how strong it was while I was living in Hong Kong for so many years. And I just discovered a world that was so amazing with such a beautiful heritage that, I immediately saw the potential that the brand had, especially, coming right after COVID and with a kind of a blank page, I would say, to write a new story or a new chapter, I would say, for MCM. What I found was a brand that was, super well known in the world, a big brand, because MCM is a big brand. And, we're distributed all over the world. We have more than 120 stores. And we have a very different brand awareness and brand perception. So that was, I think the main problem that I wanted to prioritize in terms of strategies and how to solve this with, America being very, very strong at that time and very, subculture driven, hip hop music, rap as well. So that was something very popular for the America, for the United States, but not so much when it came, to Japan. So then you arrive in Asia and you have a complete different brand perception that was mainly driven by, the Chinese market, where the brand, I think around 2015, 2017 had this breakthrough by bringing back the backpack, which for us was not just a backpack, it was liberating the hands. So we called it the hands-free movement because, everybody today needs both their hands to be able to use your mobile phone. And that had, driven such volumes that China was a very particular place for the brand. And then when it came to Europe, which is mostly the German-speaking countries, it's another complete different brand perception because this is where the brand is born. And, they are attached to the brand since the late 70s, and it is a true luxury brand in the German market. So it's, the fact that I found that very segmented and very different, I realized that, a priority was to make the brand more global again. And by creating, a clear message, what we stand for, what is our DNA, taking back our heritage and having a 360-degree communication that would speak to all this different community that we have. So that I think, still today, after a year and a half, this is definitely the most difficult part of the exercise, because, we try to keep and cherish our existing customer, which is, again, very different from market to market. And we also try to get new customers into the stores, because there is, that beautiful story and new product that we create, that we want to address it to a lot of people that maybe today don't even know what MCM is about. So it's I think that's the most difficult part today of what we're doing.
And you went on a major marketing and design offensive push after you came on board. You built your leadership team to develop the brand's global design and creative direction. Were there any undercurrents in market behavior or what's happening culturally that you and the new team were observing that shaped the new direction for the brand?
But definitely, we came at a moment where streetwear was declining. And this is where the brand was really anchored, I would say, in the last 5 years. So this is something that we, softly try to change. So this is also why we changed, the design team. We, started working with Katie Churn in Korea, and we also created the combination with Tina Lutz, who is German but based in Milan. So there is always, that beautiful complementarity that we have at MCM between always, East and West. And I think we really try to embrace that, global trend in a way, getting the brand where it was before, because, MCM was always very linked to the culture and the subculture, depending of the eras, was always very, very strongly linked to the music.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is something that probably today we need to build that again, the music connection, but we try to soften a bit, the brand image, and trying for the moment to clean up a bit and make it, as I was saying before, something that is more accessible and understandable for a global customer, before we can really again do maybe through collaborations, or through specific communications or specific talent, where we can then dive again, in a more subcultural approach. But I think the brand needed a little breathe.
And the first shot across the bow was your fall 2023 campaign, where you revisited a 1996 MCM campaign that featured supermodel Cindy Crawford and photographed by Herb Ritz. And for this campaign,
Jürgen Teller.
Well, I'm sorry, what? Oh, Jürgen.
At that time, it was Herb Ritz. Yes, sorry.
Well, Herb Ritz did it the last time, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Sorry.
But for this campaign, nearly 30 years later, you again partnered with Cindy Crawford as the face of MCM, along with creative director Sabine Brunner and photographer Jürgen Teller. Can you talk about this linking of the past to the present campaign and the message you were trying to convey to audiences?
Mm-hmm. When we decided to work on, the brand image, and as I was saying at the beginning, trying to really understand what MCM stands for, because, it's been so many years, and as I said before, there's so many different brand perceptions, that when we started, conversing with Fabian, what came really out of his interpretation of the brand, which I loved, was the word enfant terrible, which is a French word that means, the naughty kids. And it's true that MCM was always like this, because this is how MCM was born, as a reaction of, I need also to have a strong piece of logo driven suitcase, because this is the way, maybe another famous brand was doing at that time. And we became the brand of the jet setters at the end of the 70s. So MCM has always had a very bold approach, to everything that we've done. We've been loud, we've been bold, we've played against the trends. We've had very, very unexpected successes, and those successes were like huge, I think when MCM came into China, and Mrs. Kim asked her friend Rain to wear a backpack, to show what she had in mind, he arrived in China wearing that backpack, and
Mhm.
this is where it all started. So, you know, it was always something very, very, very unexpected. So we love that word enfant terrible, and we thought that, you know, nothing could be better than taking again Cindy, taking probably the most unapological photograph of today that Jürgen can be. We've always wanted to work with him, also because, you know, he's German, and by the time we shot, he was in Munich, I think, having his new baby, and you know, we just thought that this is the best thing that the brand could be. So it was more, we called it more, you know, like a PR coup
Right.
than, you know, really an advertising campaign. And we love the way Jürgen interpreted her, you know, on the top of the pile of MCM handbags. I think it was a bit provocative, and it was really about that rebellious spirit that we like about MCM, and that this is definitely something that we would never compromise. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So this is why this all came out.
And the spring summer 2024 collection was unveiled during Men's Week in Milan, June of last
Mm.
year. And the collection introduced to the world a new strategic direction for MCM. It was titled Made for Movement. And the brand stated it's ushering in a new era of sophistication, embracing the spirit of wanderlust, inclusivity. What was the inspiration behind the Made for Movement collection, and how was that expressed in the collection?
The Made for Movement is something that it's really part of us. So MCM, you know, in the heritage is a travel brand. So it's always been made for people in movement. Today, we say that we target the digital nomads. So you have, you know, the global nomads that, you know, people are by, you know, again, traveling, the physical traveling, but then we target the digital nomads that can be both, you know, they can travel physically, but the digital nomads also travels virtually. And there are many different spaces, universes, you know, you have the earth, you have the space, you have the metaverse, you know, there are so many layers today where there is life or maybe future life, or you can have also a second life in your digital world. So this is really what we call movement. It can be very translated in products. So of course we continuously revive our heritage and our travel heritage. So we introduced a lot of new travel pieces. You know, we could have some soft luggages, new trolleys, new wash bags. So we really concentrate a lot on that. And it's all about the multifunctionality. So we take inspiration from our German roots and through the Bauhaus, which, you know, for the Bauhaus, form follows
Yeah, of
function.
course.
So when we think of a bag or any product actually that we do, not only bags, but we think about the functionality of it. And because we're targeting the nomads or the digital nomads, we really want to create product that are multifunctional, meaning that you know, one bag you could carry in 2 or 3 different ways. You can hand carry them, you can, you know, shoulder carry them, you can crossbody them, you can backpack them. So there are many, many different ways of using them. We try to be very functional, you know, with pieces that you can add on top of your bags. We want to make sure that your hands are free. We want to make sure that all your tech accessories are easily, you know, accessible. So it's all about every time that we create something new, we make sure that it has all the functions that it should have for the people that we're targeting.
You then launched a spring summer campaign tapping into model actress Cara Delevingne and South Korean model Xiu Min to capture the essence of the MCM brand. The campaign marked the inaugural introduction of MCM's Mavericks. You said Mavericks is a nickname for a tribe of like minded, rule breaking individuals who embody the spirit of our brand. Can you talk more about what the spirit of the MCM brand is and who are the Maverick personas the brand is designed for?
But it ties back, you know, to what I said before with the enfant terrible. So because we started as an enfant terrible, we had all those people, you know, endorsing the brand for so many years that were not, I would say, maybe the regular ambassadors.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, some of them were, of course, but you know, we had like such strong people, you know, and characters. And so when we discussed, with Fabien also on how to define the people that we would like to target, that are actually also some of them already our customers, we thought the mavericks was the best way to call them, because we want people that do not want to follow the rules, or I mean, in the good sense, people that want to change the world, for example, people that want to break the rules to make a better world. We want people that do not define themselves because they're wearing a certain logo on them and they think that now socially they've arrived. We want people that are against those trends, people that don't want to look like everybody. So these are the people that we really want to target, people that create their own identity, their own style. So I think mavericks was the best definition to that.
Yeah.
People that are like, what was the right name?
They're rule breakers.
Rule breakers,
but not just for the sake of breaking rules.
Groundbreakers, exactly.
So the bigger question is, how do you turn these MCM mavericks into passionate fans, which at the end of the day is somebody that you really want?
Alors, I must say that today, when you are an MCM customer, you're a fan. MCM is not a brand where you go one day, you buy a bag, and then tomorrow you go somewhere else. We have, most of our business is made of returning customers, and what our store managers, who are like the most important people definitely in our company, are really, when they get a new customer now, it's all about explaining to them what the brand stands for. They tell them the story, they show them the product, they show them the quality of everything that we use, how the bags are made. All the material comes from Italy, from the best supplier that is in Italy. So they really explain everything, and I think people try and they just become fan because they also see the high quality of it. They see that it got a certain spirit when you are an MCM. So you do become an aficionado of the brand. Unless, I don't think if you don't like it, I think you don't buy it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we're trying to be a bit more democratic, maybe, for people that are not fan maybe of logos, because this is also a trend. Everybody was talking about quiet luxury, which I don't even know if this is still in trend, but like 6 months ago it was in everybody's mouth. So this is definitely not something that we're interested in. But for people that are not logo driven people, we try to introduce some new icons, some new recognizable elements for the brand. So we reviewed a bit the logo. We created a new pattern that we printed on a coated canvas for something a bit more fresh. For maybe a younger customer, where we can play with a lot of different colors. We've introduced also some diamond details. Part of our logo is a diamond, so we have some diamond shape in some of our bags, and even in the complete leather bags, so that people can still see that this is an MCM bag, there is something that is recognizable and not just a random bag, but without having a logo on it. Or the Visetos, as we call it.
Yeah. And I want to talk about MCM's design codes that have shaped its renowned visual signature since its inception in 1976. The brand's instantly recognized monogram, the Cognac Visetos, has been a cult classic throughout the decades. What is the MCM monogram supposed to symbolize?
Oh, that was done many, many, many years ago. I think the laurel originally is always the symbol of victory, and the diamond was together. I think, the owner of the brand at that time created that together. I personally don't know if the diamond had any meaning to it, but definitely the laurel meant victory. And then the MCM logo on it, which is MCM stands for Modern Creation München.
Yep. And when creating a new collection, how do you think about adapting the Cognac Visetos monogram to the collection so it appears fresh and relevant and complementary?
Alors, it depends. Either we use the mixed material. So if we create new shapes, which we're trying, every season we take some of our best sellers and we try to refresh them or change something in the engineering. We update a little detail to make it always a bit more modern. We see the great success in introducing mixed material. So if we think of a leather bag, then we would always have a mixed material version, Visetos and leather. And those are really, really selling super well. And we like also, to use patches of it. So especially on the ready to wear, we play a lot, a bit how Dave Perdan, started that whole trend. He actually started with MCM monogram materials, and we kind of recreate that because there is always something very, very cool about it. That if you put, that mixed material or an element, a detail of the Visetos somewhere, it makes it look really cool.
Right.
So we have many ways to play with it. We play with colors, we play with sizes, there are many ways.
MCM is repositioning the brand at an interesting time in the luxury market. Over the past year, the luxury fashion industry has confronted headwinds that have challenged its year-long growth. To help offset the broader slowdown in the market, top luxury houses have raised prices and courted top clients as the ultra-wealthy have been happy to keep spending. However, it's the shoppers just a rung below on the income ladder aren't splurging as much as on luxury goods.
Mm.
How has that shift impacted the products you're building in your catalog? And is the price point moving to a higher range?
Alors, no. For us, price point has been a big focus. We did some price increases, but we did them before all the other brands did it, and to an extent that was very reasonable. The increase we did was very, very much limited only to reflecting the increases that we had to suffer for the raw materials and the logistics. Remember during COVID, all those prices became
Mm-hmm.
insane. So we did some adjustment then, but since then we have not. So all of a sudden, the big brands going so much up that has left a beautiful, beautiful, white canvas for us to, to take more space and to attract maybe customers that either cannot afford anymore or do not want to spend that kind of money, in what they're used to buy. Because I think, some of the brands have really gone up in a way that is absolutely not, reasonable to my sense, and not even, it's not the industry that put them to put so much more price on the retail, because I'm sure that did not happen on the cost side. So we have been very more transparent and honest toward our customers. We did suffer, of course, in markets like America, where, the post-COVID period was definitely a difficult period for a lot of our customers. So we have tried to, as I said before, keep our prices, limit the increases. And I think this is also why when we looked at the new collection, we tried to introduce a new material that would maybe help us, reintroduce an entry price level to the collection. So we have really studied and worked on a better segmentation of our product offer by introducing the coated canvas, which we call the Loretos. We have maintained our base with our Visetos, which is our core logo and the biggest part of our business. We have refreshed, as I was saying before, some of our best sellers. Maybe we've introduced new bags that would be on a lower price point as well, because maybe there are smaller bags for the younger customers. And on the same time, we have really worked on our leather offer to also raise the prices up, but in terms of offer, not in terms of I take the same bag and I just put 50% on top of it. We have focused more on developing 100% leather bags made in Italy, that would have, a much more luxurious price positioning, and targeting this customer that we had, and also that, wants to be reactivated. So I would say for us, it was a better segmentation of the offer. And this was a big part of the work that we've done in the new collection.
Last year, the retail value of MCM's business was about $1 billion. You expected to achieve double-digit growth this year. What are you expecting for this financial year?
No, double digit, no, but we're growing. So I think that we're very proud of that. Maybe the brand has suffered a bit more the last 2 years, maybe than others that are, I think, suffering much more this year. For us, this is a year of, I would say, stabilization. The markets that were suffering are stabilized. We see, of course, like everybody, some decrease right now in a market like China, because it's a whole reassessment of the way people are consuming and spending, but we're addressing it. So we see, luckily, I think in general, MCM has a very, very strong digital business overall. I think we're almost at 30% e-commerce penetration in our overall business. So this is something that's very important, and that is allowing us sometimes, to compensate for more challenging brick and mortar businesses. But I think overall we are maintaining that it's a single digit growth. It's not a double, but I think we're already very grateful to be on a single digit growth right now. So working really hard.
So are there any underdeveloped markets that you're hoping to unleash their potential in the next couple of years?
Yes. Right now, we're focusing a lot on the Middle East. We see amazing results in our stores in Dubai and Kuwait, and we have some franchise partners. We are opening Saudi Arabia at the end of this year, and we know that we're going to have a lot of happy results, I guess, from this market, because we see already what we have in terms of e-commerce. We see Southeast Asia continuously growing. We've opened some new markets this year, and we still have a lot of room to grow in Europe, because in Europe, we're mostly, as I said before, German-speaking countries and UK. And right now we are, reworking on Italy, because we decided to go back to Milan for our press presentations. Right now we had a pop-up store. We were there during the design week. So Italy, France, Spain, we still have a lot of room to grow.
MCM is currently distributed online and at 650 points of sale worldwide, a mix of owned stores, shop and shops, and franchise stores. You wholesale and department stores, mainly in the US and in Germany. What's your growth strategy here?
Alors, for me, as we just said, in terms of what we have, we don't need more. So we have a beautiful network, to the exception of, closing some stores, for example, in China, and, opening in a better mall, because, the Chinese market has evolved so much over the years that there's so much more opportunities today. So we're upgrading some of the locations in China, but if not, it's more about consolidating what we have, focusing on the productivity of what we have, because I think our stores should be more productive, and developing some of the new markets.
And you're also refreshing some of the monobrand stores to reflect the new brand direction?
Some, but it's more about the new opening. So when we open a new store, we have, of course, a design of the store that is a bit, more fresh, more in terms of colors. It's a bit lighter. What we have done is that last year, in all of our existing stores, we have just created, kind of a package of some freestanding elements between carpets and pedestals, and sometimes some new freestanding vitrine. So this we have been distributing in most of the stores. So they kind of looked, refresh, without having to go through the entire renovation, which costs a lot of money and forces you to close the store. So for the moment, this is what it is. We have some flagships. I know that New York in Soho, we will renovate next year. For example, Shanghai, we just opened on the second floor a huge cafe, instead of having, just selling area. So we try to be a bit more creative in that sense. But no, we don't have the intention of, redoing all of our stores because there is a new image. The store image is still very is quite neutral and accurate. What counts for me is more the product.
And you were talking about digital nomads before. So what kind of commitment is MCM putting behind digitalizing the company's business? Things like expanding your digital capabilities, leveraging data to improve the customer's experience, and increasing investments in e-commerce. What are you doing on the digital side?
Everything that you just said. So we just relocated our global e-com team from New York to Milan. We've reopened an office in Milan. I think MCM has always been very digital driven. So we have already a digital infrastructure inside the company at every level that is very advanced, I must say, even compared to past companies where I was before. We are currently upgrading all, the CRM part of our company, which needs to be upgraded. We are looking into also digitalization experiences inside our stores, and e-commerce. So we've recently introduced the virtual try-ons for the shoes. We are currently working on the virtual try-ons for the eyewear. We have some experimental activities in our store in Seoul with our flagship store. So the team is working on some very specific projects there. And we're very focused on the metaverse. So we are working together with a big company in Korea called the Caliverse. And the Caliverse will be launching, I think, in a few months now, because we're in July. They're launching this place called the Caliverse. And the Caliverse is a complete parallel world. But it's a world that is a place where you really want to go. And it's not a place where you think, our children are going to be stuck, being there and not living the real life. But it's not, because it's different, so it's a place where you can also buy, for example, an apartment. You can shop, you can decorate your apartment. There will be the first MCM store where you can also buy clothes for your digital you or your avatar, but we would also receive the same piece home. So it's what I call a bit, the phygital experience.
Right.
But at the same time, you will be able, to go to concerts. You will be able to, go dancing. You could meet your friends. You can go to a bar and have a beer. So it's maybe instead of WhatsApping your friend, you would be sitting in the Caliverse, having a Coke, Coca-Cola, and chatting at the bar. You know what I mean? So it's just a different way of projecting, and we're already there. This is something that is inevitable, and I think that is something that is really, really exciting. And if you think of the gaming world where so many people are spending so many hours. Those big games are already metaverse places, because you can shop, brands are doing pop-ups. The Blackpink, they released the new album on PUBG, I think it's the game Crawford in Korea. So you can everybody can go and listen to this new music. So it's huge. It's something that is there and that we need to embrace. And I think this is the most exciting part of, the vision that Mrs. Kim, our owner, has always for the company. And AI also. We started to do a lot of content with AI, and it's fascinating as well. I think how this can all quickly evolve, and it's sustainable, because we just did a content creation with AI. It saved us, having the bags flying all over the world to go to a specific place and hiring all these people and, having the photo shoot, So it is also more sustainable.
You presented MCM's Fall/Winter 2024 collection at this year's Milan Fashion Week, and it was named Munich to Mars. And the pictures that I saw, were amazing. And the pieces in the collection were revealed in a futuristic setting with rocky portals serving as a gateway between Earth and Mars, inviting guests on this Martian expedition. What was the underlying narrative of this audacious scene that conveyed the next chapter for the MCM brand?
Again, this is, the vision of Mrs. Kim, because she's really leading us towards where she sees the brand tomorrow. And this is, I think, the most exciting part. And, you know, I try to really grab that, understand in the best way, and then translate it in the best way. So Munich to Mars is back to something I said earlier about the multiverses, you know. So we have the Earth, we have the space, we have the metaverse. So from Munich to Mars is a bit a shortcut to that. We feel that, you know, it's also linked, sorry, to the zeitgeist. So in German, you know, the zeitgeist is you look at the past, you look at the future, and you build the present. And this is exactly what we do when we do MCM products. So we look right now, every day, we look into our heritage, you know, we look into what made MCM. And then at the same time, you know, we think what our digital nomads are going to need tomorrow, you know, for their new lifestyle. And by keeping those two elements connected, we do create the product that you see. So this is also another way, you know, of Munich is our heritage, Mars is our future. And here in the middle, you see the collections and you see the product that we present. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And you were also part of Milan Design Week this year, MCM's
Yes.
first appearance at the fair. It seemed like fashion had a greater presence than ever before. You collaborated with architecture and design firm Atelier Biaghetti on the MCM wearable Casa collection. Why do you believe Milan Design Week was the right platform to present MCM's current vision for the brand?
Because today the Design Week in Milan is, I think, is probably the most important, you know, global event in the world for me today when it comes really to show creativity. So because we were back in Milan showing, you know, for fashion, wearable casa was another topic that we had discussed with Mrs. Kim several times. It's again a vision, you know, a vision of, you know, what is it that from your home, you know, you would love always to be able to take with you when you travel, or, you know, what is it that if you were to live in your car, you know, what would be really the pieces that you would need to have with you. Another interpretation was, and I think it translated in some of the objects, you know, today you have people living in 20 square meters and people living in 5,000 square meters. How one same object could have, you know, different functions. So the lantern, for example, we created is a lantern that you can, you know, carry around with you. It has 7 hours of battery. You can charge with a USB. You can hang, you can use as a table lamp. You know, it's something that you can always have with you if you want. And everybody needs a light. You know, it's also that exploration spirit. We had a tatamu, you know, the Japanese tatamu.
Yep.
So if you live in a huge apartment, you can have that tatamu on the floor, but then you can pile it up and it becomes a day bed. And you can even pile it up differently and you have two separate poofs. And then when it comes, you know, to putting it away, you pile everything on top of each other and you can put it in an angle, like the way, you know, the Japanese sometimes, you know,
Right.
their bed is not there and then they just open the bed, they sleep and then they close it again. So it was really that spirit. And I think what happened at Design Week was absolutely amazing. You know, we arrived, you know, with that concept that we truly believed in. Atelier Biaghetti were the best people we could have, you know, to interpret that, because they are also bold. You know, they don't make classic designs. I don't know if you've seen other of their work, but they're like the perfect mavericks in a way, you know, of the design world. And the result was so incredible. So we were ranked in the top 10 presentation of the Fuori
Wow.
Salone. And it shows again, you know, we come here for the first time in Milan where nobody really knows MCM, and we make something absolutely incredible. And you know, because we have a fantastic idea, we made it in a landscape that is already overcrowded by, you know, design brands and, as you said, fashion brands. And this is, I think this really shows the strength of MCM, and this is another kind of enfant terrible approach, you know, to things.
Yeah. And with the new strategic direction in place for MCM, has your approach to collaborations changed too? You did a collaboration with Crocs last year that featured Lindsay
Mm.
Lohan in the campaign, a Bathing Ape capsule collection collab to honor the Year of the Dragon. What is the strategy? Has that shifted as well?
No, no. We still look for, the right combinations. Bape we had already in the past, and we thought, it was time to do it again, and it was very successful again. Crocs we did for 2 years in a row, so we didn't do the third year, even though I think I would love to do it again because we have really a fan club of those Crocs for MCM.
Right.
No, it's more about finding the right the right. It's like a marriage, finding the right combination where MCM has something to gain, and of course the other brand also has something to gain. I think right now we're focusing a bit more on our German roots because I think it's something that is also very unique. So right now the spirit we have is finding maybe amazing German talents with whom we could do collaborations and show how amazing German engineering has always been. And I think this is something that today, apart maybe from the automotive world, is not really a big focus.
So, in an economy and culture flooded with brands, what will it take to make MCM stick?
What we're doing to continue to be ourselves and not to try to be anybody else, um, with difficulties because we are, an independent brand, which today I think you there's almost none.
Mm.
So it's good because we are our own bosses. We're free to make the decisions that we want to make, but at the same time, of course, we don't have shoulders probably as big as others. So we really need to continue to be special. And I think when you have to really come up with ideas um, with less means, I would say, then I guess sometimes it makes you more creative and more different. And this is probably what people, keep on liking about us. So this is really, again, part of the infanterie, part of the maverick spirit.
Yeah. And so, going
So
down this path, if you stick down this path that you're talking about, so looking ahead 3 to 5 years from now, what is the ideal scenario for MCM in your mind?
oh, it's really like we need to grow. I think we still, as I said before, we have a lot of room to grow in some markets where we're not yet present. I think we can really improve a lot the productivity of our stores. So I think for us, the mission is not to push. I mean, of course, I think we have so much more customers that we can get, that we can show how MCM is a product that they should really look at because it's a beautiful quality, and the price is something that is, I'm not going to say reasonable because that wouldn't be true, but it's something that is respectable, and it's a very good val I don't like the word value for money, but it's beautiful quality for a price that allows you to have an impulsive buy,
Mhm.
and you would never regret it because you would have in your hand something of the highest quality that is going to last forever. So we really need to, we can grow this, but also because we want to grow this business and show also, how we can be more sustainable, how we can be more responsible towards the planet. And the owner, Mrs. Kim, has also a foundation which is called the Sanju Foundation, and a big part of the proceeds. A part of the proceeds that MCM generates, she would always give back to her foundation. So we also have, that mission of doing better so that the foundation every year gets more money to support all the beautiful causes that they support.
So, Sabina, my final question is the luxury item question, which I ask all my guests. So, if you were stranded on a deserted island and you could only have one single luxury item with you, what would that luxury item be? It can't be any form of air or water transportation to get you off that island or anything that requires mobile service so you can call somebody to get you off that island. It's just you on this deserted island with lots of sand, palm trees, maybe some debris washing up on shore. What would that one single luxury item you would like to have with you on this deserted island?
So it's an item, it's not a person.
I'm leaving it to your interpretation.
It's funny, there are two things that come to my mind. And then you can pick one. No,
you could pick one.
I can pick one. Alors, if I could, I'm a food addict. So I would say a Japanese chef. Yeah, exactly. And I always have that question, if you were to choose one cuisine for the rest of your life, what would it be? And my answer is always Japanese, because I think Japanese has everything. It has the fish, the meat, the pasta, the rice, the roll, the veggies. It's got everything. And I have a passion for Japanese food. So I think I love my food too much. So I would need, make sure that I can eat well.
Sabine Brunner, President of MCM Worldwide, thank you so much for joining me on The Luxury Item.
Thank you, Scott. It was a pleasure.
That's it for this episode of the Luxury Item Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you found this useful and entertaining, I would be really grateful if you can share it with a friend or colleague. I would love it if you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And while you're there, be sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It really helps other listeners find us. The Luxury Item Podcast is a production of Silvertone Consulting. I'm your host, Scott Kerr. Until next time.